I'm resident of Collinwood for YouTube, Joel Sains. That's my buddy Patrick McCray, my buddy Alan Gallant. We're here to talk about a movie on Netflix. It's called What's Inside, which is a really interesting movie.
Is it called What's Inside or It's What's Inside?
It's What's Inside, sorry. Which is a really interesting movie that Patrick suggested. So when did you first see this?
Just a few weeks ago. I was going through Netflix, and it's what appeared, and I thought that looks good, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
I wish it were more exciting telling than that, but that's the long and the short of it.
I was in a bar in Zanzibar.
Yeah. Because it's a very recent film, and this is my only color thing. Speaking of color, I'm wearing something that blends me into the couch perfectly, and my beard does too. There's a little pop of skin in the sea of gray. It's very Soviet.
East German beige.
Yeah, it's a real study in bland. I feel like I should start talking like Ben Stein. Is Ben Stein dead?
I don't think so. I think he's still alive, going somewhere.
Yeah. If he were dead, he would be saying, "Let me out, let me out."
Well, I think we know about it because at the top of the list, besides his career of blandness, would be, and his game show, would be the fact that he was a speechwriter
for Nixon. I know, he's a very, very bright guy. Okay, so back to more important matters, which is the Netflix movie of the week. Every year, seemingly for the past few years, and by that I mean since Bird Box, I feel like Netflix has put out one or two their Christmas blockbusters. Essentially, they're bigger movies, and the other one I'm watching is called Subservience, which is not great. It's about an AI situation. And it tells exactly the same story as at least two others I've seen in the past year. Spoiler alert, the AI servant goes crazy. So, who saw that coming?
No. Can't imagine.
Yeah, somewhere Michael Crichton's lawyer is very busy.
What kind of logic is that?
Yeah. So I was going through, I had a friend who wanted to watch a horror movie, and so we were just kind of going through, it was on Netflix. And there was just something about the title and the cover that seemed really intriguing, and we just said, well, let's stop here. And we had a really great time. It was very fresh. It was an engage is a semi-familiar idea. It's basically the Gilligan's Island brain swap episode that Boris Balankov has, but without the voices of the proper person coming out of the mouth, which I think really made the movie work even more. But yeah, I saw it a couple of weeks ago. I think when it first dropped.
Yeah.
Cool. Alan, when did you see this?
Started a couple of days ago after it was suggested that we watch it, and it was interesting to watch it. Patrick and I discussed it a little bit before. It is alienating and irritating in the first 10 minutes because you're getting this very intense, melodramatic immaturity coming out of a lot of these characters, and they're Zoomers. So, but then after a bit, you start to orient yourself. And this happens several times during the movie because the mind switches and the body switches and all this sort of thing. It disorients you, and then you have to reorient yourself. But it's deliberate and it's very creatively done. And the element of satire starts to rear its head. After a few minutes, you begin to realize where you are. And that I found that very interesting. But it took me a good 10 minutes. Of going like that.
Yeah. Well, they need a mirror.
Yeah.
And it's a good one. Mirrors aren't always pretty.
No.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. These friends get together at their friend's mansion, or what was his parents' mansion. if you will, or giant house, whatever you want to call it.
It's a big house.
A big room
big house.
with a door and little doors inside. Call it what you will.
Right.
And their one friend shows up late. I'll tell you this: when I watched, because I watched this one time, and it was the night I got sick. When I watched this, and immediately when he says about the dungeon and then the dungeon master lies, I'm like, there's something up with this Forbes dude.
Well, he shows up. He's got this machine inside of an old American Tourister suitcase.
Yeah,
I love that.
And the machine itself looks something steampunky and retro.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it was assembled when they purchased the suitcase.
Yes.
So it predates him.
Yes.
Yeah. And I do like how the sister shows up at the end, and it's Forbes in her body.
Oh yeah. So,
oh my god,
and that's good. We get two characters in that scene that we have not seen, but who really are the poles that hover over the movie, and that's the bride to be, and the sister. Bride to be seen very briefly.
Yeah.
What was, because there's a lot of shocking things about this movie. What's something in this movie that really threw you hardest? What's the scene that threw you the hardest?
The cruelty of certain people in terms of being proprietary over someone's body, and then what they can do with their work and their career in a very brief period of time while they're in that body, thanks to facial recognition locks on phones. You know, if it were still a password issue, this movie could not have been made just 2 or 3 years ago.
Right. But since their bodies had the body exchange also included whatever phone they had in their pocket.
Yeah, sure includes it if you have a phone in your pocket. Yeah. And because it's a facial recognition lock, that's what opens it.
Yeah.
They didn't count on this technology.
No, it's true. The cruelty under pressure, and the pressure mounts, of course, when people get uncomfortable in the bodies and they start doing duplicitous things in terms of wanting to hook up with other bodies, and things like that are happening. But also, the ultimate shock, and it's one that you can kind of anticipate, but it still works well, is when there is a death in the family of body switchers, and that complicates things and intensifies.
Yeah. I really enjoyed how where there's that one scene where the one girl's body came and found her. Like almost like saying, wait, I belong to you, but you're not. I think from a psychology standpoint, that was really interesting.
It's almost like there was some of the people had instinctively understood who, and other people were clueless about it.
Yeah. Because by the end, when the one guy's in jail, he's like, I know you're not her. I know you're not my girlfriend. Hey, come on now. Which, when Forbes walks into the party, he's all smiling. He goes, listen, just attach this to your head, and then I'll hit the switch. It only lasts so many seconds. And then they're all panicking because they're all in somebody else's body, and then it switches back. To sort of that's sort of the start of the trickery because the plot twist is Forbes isn't Forbes. Forbes' sister is in Forbes' body, which is really just a mind fuck and a half, which I enjoyed. I mean, because the one girl's boyfriend, he says, there's something up with Forbes. Like, he lied. Like, this person lied. Why would he lie? Which was really interesting.
But why? Then again, why would he want to play this body switching game with people that got him kicked out of university?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the one guy's like he apologizes.
Sure, they all kind of do. They all kind of admit to it, with a little bit of pressure in time. They all kind of admit to what happened. Sure, and I think that was part of the game, definitely. That needed to happen, and why the game was happening. So that was interesting. It's one of those moments of clarity that comes out of the confusion of it all.
Yeah, I like how he's like, I admitted to that I was having sex with your sister, and he's telling Forbes that when Forbes is in his sister's body, he's like, I knew you were having sex with my sister.
So, oops.
Like that's not a state secret, bro.
Yeah.
Like oh my god.
Yeah.
Because that guy, I think his name was Dennis, was in Forbes' body. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember who was in his body. That was part of the fun of this movie. Like who's in who's, like,
yeah.
I like how the one girl gets in Nikki's body. She's still trying to seduce her boyfriend, and he's. I love the question she has. Why won't you touch me?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I zoned out for a second there. What did you just ask, Alan?
No,
I think distance has something to do with it. Anyway, so let's talk about this. It's What's Inside movie.
Yes, let's do that.
Yes.
Shelby and Cyrus I found to be the most virulent of the Zoomers. The most, the relationship was probably the most toxic of any of them.
Yeah.
With Shelby's obsession with, Instagram and all of that sort of thing going on, and horrible stuff, and also the every boyfriend's nightmare at that age in particular is when the girlfriend says, "Well, why don't you want to do it this way?" Well, what do you mean by that? And that sort of emotional craziness that goes on in certain relationships, and I thought they captured that really well. And I really dislike Shelby and the archetype of Shelby. She's really so self-centered and so this, and she's an extreme for the sake of the satire, and also for the sake of the conflict and moving certain things forward and backwards.
She's the main influencer.
Yeah, she literally is an influencer.
Yeah. She's the one that whose body is inhabited at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. By Beatrice.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
It takes a map.
It does, and I mean that's part of the fun of this movie. You see where's your scorecard and where the numbers back. So it is definitely that, and I thought, I mean, obviously that's the catalyst at the beginning is Shelby and Cyrus. That's the tension begins with them and sort of spread out.
I don't think the writers knew this. Cyrus the Virus is taken literally from pro wrestling.
Well, it's taken from
Con Air.
In the movie.
Well, before the movie Con Air, there was a manager who was also an announcer. It was like the year before Con Air. He was known as Cyrus
the Virus.
He had dark long hair.
He's probably shopping the script.
He was annoying. He was annoying as fuck.
I bet.
Well, he's a heel. He was a heel.
Well, wasn't that during the era in which we had a wrestler by the name of Mr. Ass?
Yes.
Yes. That's what I thought.
Two different companies, but yeah.
What did he do?
Just shake his ass, just shake his ass around.
Well, he was Billy Gunn, who was part of the tag team, the Smoking Guns, in the early, in the 90s.
Was punishing him for something that we don't know that he did. And we're renaming you. We're rebranding you.
And initially, after they broke up, they had Billy Gunn be managed by the Honky Tonk Man, and it wasn't going over well. And finally, Road Dogg Jesse James, who was actually Jesse Armstrong, one of the Armstrong family members, who were like one of the oldest family wrestling families in wrestling, said, "Hey, I suck, you suck. We're gonna be a tag team." And so they formed the New Age Outlaws, which was
something else really came to mind there, Joel. But keep going.
Yeah, which was
some mutual
which was a Vince McMahon idea, and they called Billy Gunn Badass Billy Gunn.
Right.
So,
well, that would just get in the way of that.
That's right.
Continue.
So they simplified.
so yeah, Vince McMahon wanted the New Age Outlaws, who were Road Dogg Jesse James and Badass Billy Gunn, to be a part of D-Generation X. So there's your explanation.
Mm-hmm. I still think it's being punished.
No, he wasn't being punished. When he was with Honky Tonk Man, that was murder.
Mm-hmm.
That was
punishment. Yeah.
I don't know if it was punishment. That was just stupid.
Yeah.
But with this movie, there's nothing stupid about this movie. The one thing I enjoyed too was the camera angles. This was really smart, tight shot cinematography. Really well done.
Yeah, they in certain instances they give you a feeling of claustrophobia, like you would feel if you were in somebody else's body, you know.
And it's a great thing to be able to pull off when you're in such a large space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they're in this large house, but I think they do it well by even later on too, because they go outside, they go in like a greenhouse sort of area, and they still manage that tight camera view. Even with the outside, it's like they still feel like it's like.
Yeah, the director of photography had a big bag of lenses for this movie, I think. So you could get some of that sort of perspective.
All I can say is, who has sex on a balcony? Like seriously, though.
It happens.
Does it?
Yeah, sure it does.
Does it? They had a whole house.
It's true, but you know, there's a kink factor, and it's multiplied. Obviously, there's a kink factor in the fact that they're operating in other people's bodies, and then there's the kink factor of doing it sort of semi-publicly. And I think that's kind of happening there, where they just kind of lose themselves, which makes it make sense that they somehow, pitch over or break the
land on this stupid piece
of course.
Yeah. I think too with Shelby, she's a woman who was smart enough to see that Cyrus really was not in love with her and just didn't care to see it till the end.
Well, she was kind of unlovable to begin with, too.
Yeah.
She was very, she was demanding of things that she wasn't making explicitly clear to her boyfriend, which is one of those nightmare scenarios that young men have when it comes to having relationships with women. But he was also sort of withholding and waffling, which is a nightmare scenario for some young women, too. So I guess I can see a little bit of both sides. But Shelby really is kind of a reprehensible narcissist. She's, and it's in a room full of narcissistic people.
Yeah.
She stands out.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody has their own level of narcissism in this movie. I will say, if my wife walked in a pair of in red bra and wear red panties, I'd assume she was wanting sex. That's just me.
She would say the same about you, Jewel.
Yeah,
I'm sure she would.
I think Cyrus was assuming so too, but he wasn't assuming the same brand of sex that she was looking for. The communication breakdown was apparent. Yeah.
Well, my wife told me something once, and I'll never forget this. She goes, "I know when you're turned on," and that's the thing too. Shelby And when I was watching this movie, this made me think of this. Shelby,
I'm sure it did.
Shelby could sense he wasn't turned on by her.
Not the same.
Think,
yeah, right. She wanted different things. They had different fantasies. He was kind of in that scene, that initial scene, he's very sort of nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
He assumed he would be looking at, that he would be the one with the wig.
Yeah. Yeah, because that comes up later again. Well, we don't have to do the wig. If you don't want to do the wig, we don't have to do the wig.
Calm down, Mrs. Shatner.
Yeah.
Yeah, the girl Nikki was supposed to get married, right? Did I lose that or?
No, it was the fella.
Oh, it was a fella.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay.
Host.
Ruben, right? He was the host, if I'm remembering correctly.
The character?
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, this is a follow-up to, he had just invented the sandwich. That was in the opening crawl that they cut out.
It's true. He had this rather intimate relationship with Lord Sandwich. And together they had a rather mixed marriage, since Lord Sandwich was not in the Jewish faith, but Reuben was.
I got a story about a Reuben sandwich. I'm not going to tell you. It's horrible. I've alluded to it many times in the past.
Lord Sandwich wanted to put cheese on the Reuben.
Well, that's a big no-no.
Yes, it is.
I mean, that just kind of brings it all crashing to a halt right there.
Yes.
William gone.
Because the cause of this is Dennis denying that he ever had a relationship with Beatrix in the first place.
Which goes, I mean, that's just that ends up going down the drain. I mean, that's the beginning of that particular thing going down the drain. But it is, I mean, this is all about this. I mean, another thematic issue in this movie is deception. For obvious reasons. I mean, and the means by which one can deceive. That was one of the more straightforward lies.
Yeah.
When possessed by Beatrice, could it be said that someone has a bee in their bonnet?
It could be. It could be.
And the fact that it drives her completely crazy, and she was in a mental institution for a brief time.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact when she goes into her brother's body and like literally hits her own body and just bolts and goes to this party with this horrible intention of getting everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, that's next level revenge, right? I mean, this is, in the end of the day, this is like one of the best revenge movies I've seen.
It is. I mean, it's because it's a really good gradual reveal of the central motivation for all of this. I mean, you get a sense that something is amiss here, but you don't know exactly what it is until it sort of manifests itself. So.
Well, that's the one thing too. Like, he says about, or Foster or whatever, or says about Dungeon Master, and then he's lying. I'm thinking, why are you lying? Like, why are you, when he's in somebody else's body or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and the one guy who, Cyrus the Virus, when he catches him in the lie. He's like, no, I know. Like, he caught who he was.
Right.
Like, he knew he was lying. And it's like, why? Like, why are you lying? That doesn't make sense for you to lie. When he was the one who said, he was the one who said before the switch, before round one started, well, I'll catch it. Whoever tries to lie, I'll call it out.
Right.
He doesn't call out himself.
Yeah.
And that is a dungeon. If you've ever played Dungeons and Dragons, it's like, that raises your red flag immediately. Something's not right. You don't know what, when you're watching this movie for the first time. But yeah, it's that kind of intensity too that And I like how they do, like with the through the glass, they show who's really in the body too. At times,
Yeah.
There's tons of
occasionally.
What did you guys think of that?
I thought it was very clever.
Yeah, it's a nice device, and it supplies the audience with the necessary reminders.
It goes easy on the audience. It doesn't make the movie as much of the SAT, you know, that you have to pass.
Right.
Like, no, we're gonna throw in some cheats. You know, we're gonna give you a few answers just to be nice.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if they did that with Dark Shadows when Patofe was in Quentin's body?
Have him walk in front of a mirror and use the key to show the other. Yeah, that would be actually kind of interesting.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Or when he was in David Hennessy's body, like
he walks past there and all of a sudden you see David as Patofe in the mirror. Yeah.
Yes, oh my god, that would have been terrifying. I'm like, oh Jesus. Like, even though you know what's going on.
But you'd have him running around smashing mirrors all over the house. Is what you would have him doing.
Yeah. I mean, it broke accidentally.
Yeah,
of course it did. Of course it did. But yeah, it's a really good movie. I like the size of the house. I like how they use a lot of the rooms in the house. And there's rooms they don't use too, which leaves that air of mystery of, okay, what's all through this house.
And the lighting, of course, is, I mean, it's pretty dark throughout a lot of this movie, which also is adding to that idea of being unsure of who's who. But that allows for them to expand space when they want to, with more lighting or, areas or whatever, that sort of thing. So, I mean, that was pretty well thought out.
Yeah, the house at night and the house during the day when Beatrix's body shows up. And then they're moving stuff out the house. Like, it's like, oh my god. But yeah, the lighting is really good. I love how there's that room with like the mirror and like the it's like really dark in there. And I forget who makes out in there, but these two people make out in there. And it's like, and then that's when the one girl's body comes and finds her body, like where was it at, which was really interesting. What did you guys make of the video game machine?
It's a great prop. We talked about it earlier. Yeah. It looked like it came from the era for me of the suitcase. So I think it's probably something that he found in like a office closet wherever he was working that had been long forgotten, like an old projector or something.
Figured out how it worked.
Yeah, he says him and his team, and we see like later there's two older guys who were part of his team, which was really cool. Like, okay, 3 people came up with this game. That's great.
I think
he's making that up.
Thinking about the machine again, I think what they did is they took a piece of audio equipment, because there's a lot of 1/4-inch plugs going in and out of receptacles on there, and a mixer box has sort of those input outputs like that. A tour box would have that. So I think maybe if they didn't actually use a piece of that kind of equipment, they used it. That's good inspiration. And it also kind of looks like those old-fashioned telephone switchboard things, which gives it that sort of older antique feel to the actual machine.
Antique torch.
Patrick, how shocked were you by how far Beatrix went with her revenge plot here?
Well, I was very impressed. I mean, that's the movie's job, is to impress me and surprise me and throw me for loops.
Yeah.
So, guys, this has been great. Feel free to keep going. I'm fading. As is obvious, I've been melting.
Do it.
And I love doing a deep dive on the set and props. Keep engage. But I have to sign off. At least 8 out of 10.
Okay.
And I will see you later.
All right.
Good night, Patrick. Yeah, it's really interesting how like, because when he talks about his sister was in a mental institution, and then they come out of it where he thought that this game would help them bond in a way. That's his like thought. Like,
well, I mean, that also explains how she knows how to use it.
Yeah, Forbes' actual methods, the real Forbes is actually a good method. Like, he wants to use the machine for a good purpose.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I want to bond with you because I know you've been through some shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, she watched him operate it, saw him operate it one time, and she got it. Like, this woman, though she got tricked, she's not necessarily stupid. You know what I mean? Just because you got deceived one time.
No, as a matter of fact, she's quite intelligent in order to sort of hatch this plot, this whole thing. That tells you that she's motivated and B, intelligent. She's her time spent in the institution had nothing to do with her lack of intelligence. It had to do with other stuff. So
I think too, one of the things about this movie we didn't touch upon too, I think you guys might have touched upon a bit, was some of these characters just have a lack of maturity.
Oh,
too,
absolutely.
For their age.
This is in terms of the characters and behaviors and so on like this, it's very much a satire of Generation Z, the Zoomers, and how they're always accused of being, because they're the youngest generation. So they're always accused of being, kind of immature and into themselves and, with their face stuck in the phone, all of that sort of thing. So they kind of capitalize on a lot of that stuff in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, like, Dennis, who sort of causes Beatrix's problems, like who denies the most simplest lies, like, oh, I didn't sleep with her. And it's like, okay, like,
well, it's a betrayal too to deny. It's like, okay, yeah, you want to be that way, that kind of thing. So
yeah, it's like, then they get her brother like kicked out of school. It's like they basically mess up their lives, but Forbes is the one who like takes it in stride. Like, okay, I'm not going to let you bother me. I'm going to still do my own thing. His sister, who's the opposite, which makes sense. She like falls to pieces,
right?
And then plots this revenge of, okay, now I'm going to get these motherfuckers for what they did,
right?
And they like, one of them's made it on social media. Nikki, I think was her name. And the rest have, do have a complex relationship. One of them's getting married.
Yeah.
And I mean, her plot to basically ruin their lives comes to fruition.
Yes.
Beatrix ends up in the one girl's body. I forget who she ended up in.
I think you mean towards the end there. Yeah. I think she ends up in Nikki's body, the influencer, one of the influencers. She's the other one that's a wannabe influencer. She's really obsessed, but Nikki is the one, because the two of them, remember, at one point start talking about how many people they've got looking at their pictures and all this sort of stuff. And they kind of get a little edgy with each other over that. But yeah, I think that's it. I think Nikki, Beatrice was in Nikki's body. I think Nikki was the dark-haired one that ended up in the jail at the end. That he kept wanting to know if it was Shelby.
Yeah,
it was Shelby. And yeah, I think that's her. Yeah, I'm sure that's her.
Shell.
You know who I am. You know who I am. That's all she would say to him.
Yeah, you know who I am. Then I think he gets an idea when she tells him off.
Yeah.
Like who she really is. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I like how Forbes and his sister body, he goes, well, once you stay there long enough, your soul becomes that. Like, that's...
Yeah, sure. I mean, absolutely. I mean, and some of them are have to be resigned to living their lives in other people's bodies because they're stuck there now. You know, and that was probably part of Beatrice's plan all along anyway, is to kind of, you know, it was hastened along by the fact that our two copulators got killed, because then there's no way to go back completely, you know, there's no way.
Yeah. I think that's one of the most shocking aspects of this movie too. There are two deaths early on. Like, it's like I was not expecting two people just to fall and die.
Right, and it does a lot of things to the plot and to the characters after that. Everything gets intensified after that, and you know, personality flaws all start to really get large after that because people are desperate and they're scared.
Yeah, it's just like it was an accident. It wasn't nobody.
It totally was.
Like,
yeah. But still, people are blaming each other for it, and you know, and how can we switch back? We got to switch back. Oh my God! Oh my God! You know, well, obviously, all of you can't switch back unless you want to. Some of you are going to be dead. You know, if you switch back.
There's a slasher that's a little similar to this without the machinery. It involves like an ancient relic or something, an ancient artifact, where it's Vincent Vaughn and this young girl, and they switch bodies, and Vincent Vaughn's playing the serial killer.
Oh, so
Vince Vaughn.
Or he becomes in a girl's body. Yeah.
Blumhouse made it. It was years ago. It's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Because he's in the girl, like in the she's it's a really like I'm in a girl's body.
It's perfect cover.
Yeah. It's like, come on now. Oh my God.
Nobody will suspect me now.
Sorry, the girl
from being 6'6" to, you know, whatever, 5'7".
Yeah, the girl ends up in the killer's body. The killer ends up in the girl's body, and the killer just picks up his business as usual, but he applies sex appeal to it. And she's still acting like a woman, like a girl in a man's body. Oh my God, he's after!
Yeah, sure.
Oh my God, he's after me! I'm thinking, man.
Yeah.
It's like comedy and horror, like mixed together really. This has a bit of that too. It has a bit of comedy
because of the satirical element of it. Yeah, it's got some absurd moments in it. Absolutely does.
I heard the next scary movie is going to take like parody Terrifier and Halloween. Okay. And I feel like they missed out on parodying like the original Halloween. They should have took Don Rickles years ago, and had him play a version of Loomis, like where he's just like, this guy's a psychopath. Why the hell do I gotta shoot him?
Really? I'm going on vacation here.
Yeah,
let's take care of this.
No, like, don't you get paid to handle this?
Not enough.
Oh, I'm not making enough money. It'd have been hilarious if they did that, but they didn't. Craziness.
Yeah, they came in a little late to do the original Halloween, but yeah, it's interesting. I mean, basically that's the same idea of Hot Shots and all of those movies. They parody whatever's happening at the time that they're making the movie. It usually has to be fairly up to date.
Yeah, I remember when like Escape from LA is like an action parody of like Escape from New York.
Sure.
Though it works though, which is
weird. It's just it's a little more extreme, a little more melodramatic.
Yeah. It works. Peter Fonda surfing and Snake Plissken is one of the best scenes that I've ever seen somebody looked at. It's just hilarious. I'm gonna give this movie a 10. It was really good.
I'll give it a 9 for sure, which is pretty high on my scale for these kind of movies, because I don't watch a lot of these kind of so-called, horror movies, although the last couple have been kind of horror satire, elements of humor in them. So that I always appreciate. But this was a clever script, and they did a good job in throwing the viewer off balance in places where it worked, and so I thought it was pretty well done.
Yeah. What do you guys want to do tomorrow? Anything?
I hadn't even thought about it, to be honest with you. I got a lot going on tomorrow. I might be better off Wednesday. Maybe we do something on Wednesday, unless you already got something going on.
No, I could wait till Wednesday. We're good.
Okay. Dang it. Let me think about it, and you think about it, and Patrick will think about it, and we'll come up with something.
All right.
24 hours.
Have a good one, Alan. Link to Patrick McCray's Dark Shadows Daybook of Battle will be in the description box. Link to Alan Gallant's YouTube channel, Calling Sport After Dark, will be in the description box. Have a good night, buddy. Bye.
See ya.